Myra, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
You're all over the place.
Working hard. I love South Texas.
How's your campaign going so far?
It's a difficult race, but we're very grateful to everyone for supporting us throughout, not just South Texas, but throughout the entire country. So I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't because of the support from the American people. So I'm really, really grateful.
You know, I see your Instagram, and I follow you, and everybody should follow her on Instagram. You'll find out more about Myra, because she is very busy on her Instagram and her social media accounts. And I see that you visit a lot of mom and pops and restaurants and businesses.
I love food.
Small businesses, I know. You make me hungry every time I see your post. What's the message that you're getting from these mom and pops that own those smaller businesses and not at the corporate level, you know?
They're hurting tremendously. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Sometimes they don't even make enough money for themselves. They're just making enough money to keep the business open. So it's very difficult for the small business. You know, the bigger companies are surviving, but the smaller businesses are the ones that are struggling the most. So I want to make sure that they know that I'm fighting for them, and that the current administration is the one that's hurting them. It's important that they know that the policies of the Biden administration and the Harris administration are hurting them, and that's why we're in the position that we're in right now, because of the policies. And I think it's important that they know that.
What are they asking for besides, you know, the policy changes? What's really hurting them? Is it people not showing up? Have they lost business, or is everything costing so much that they got to raise their prices, that most of their, you know, regulars have decided to slow down a bit on being patrons at their businesses and stuff like that?
It's a cost. The cost of everything is more expensive. But yes, less people are able to go out to eat because it's a luxury. It really is. And right now the American people are struggling. The majority of the American people are living paycheck to paycheck. They don't even have $1,000 in their savings account. So they have to make a decision. Do we, cook at home, or do we go out to eat at a restaurant? So most of the time they just decide to stay home because it's cheaper. But it's a luxury to be able to go out to eat. So I think that if you're able to go out to eat, it's a blessing. But that's the reason why most small businesses and restaurants are hurting tremendously, because they don't have the business that they used to, and because they have to increase the cost of everything because of the cost of the food that they have to buy every single day.
Yeah, and eating at home is as expensive as well. I mean, I went I was at the grocery store, and the cart.
That's expensive as it is. So
Yeah.
just imagine, going out to eat. It adds up. Everything adds up. But you're absolutely right.
We
I have
used to-
4 kids, and trust me, every time I order groceries from H-E-B, I can't believe the amount of money I spend a week. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. I'm like, how are people doing it right now? If I believe that it's a struggle just with our salary. So I can't imagine what the everyday American with the standard salary. I don't know how they're doing it, and I think that's one of the reasons why we have such an increase in credit card debt, because a lot of them, they're using their credit cards to buy groceries, to buy necessities, and I think that's really sad when you put the American people in that position. The American people do not deserve to be put in that position. I think it's a huge disrespect whenever we send billions of dollars abroad when the American people are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, we need to prioritize the needs of the American people.
Yeah, so I was at H-E-B this week, and every Sunday I go and I buy for the week, and then when it's time to, reload for the dogs and get the all the other stuff that's non-food, I'm looking at, 200 or more.
Absolutely.
And this past Sunday, it was $330. And
Yo no me salvo, 300 for sure.
And
as much as I try for us at home, with 4 kids, it's 300 a week.
I think about that because it's just me and my wife and my doggies, and my doggies, pues, once a month les compro la bolsa de comida y todo eso, pero I'm not I never think about myself, because a lot of, I have people that'll tell me, hey, Rock, what are you worried about? You can afford it. Look, it's not, that's a selfish attitude.
Absolutely.
I
We all
think
have
of
our
the
own
people
struggles.
that can't,
Absolutely.
I think of the people and when I'm paying that bill, I'm like, ¿cómo la hace la gente con familia, con chavalos,
Right.
And then the light bill comes in, and me and my wife, it's $300-$400. and it's just two of us. And yo tengo todas las luces pagadas. I mean, turn them all
And
off.
it feels like all we do is work and work and work and
Yeah.
work. Like we don't get to enjoy life, go
Yeah.
on a vacation. And I think the American people deserve to be able to have a vacation. Yes, we understand that we have to work, but we also have to enjoy life and enjoy our money. But because the government has so much control of our money, is that we can enjoy life. And it shouldn't be that way. And I think we need to change all that. And the only way is by us reelecting, someone that is going to put in the right policies where we're going to have more money in our pockets and we're going to have more control of our own money. And that starts by firing the Biden and Harris administration.
Yeah. I was talking about that light, and I was thinking of when I pay my light bill, I think about families too, because
Absolutely.
los chavalos no saben cómo pagar la luz y cómo apagar el televisión. Y you can walk into a home, and if they've got kids, chances are the bedroom lights are on, the TV's on in the bedroom, and nobody. Yo le digo a mi wife, sometimes she'll leave the TV on by accident or something, and ¿quién está mirando el televisión en el cuarto? ¿Soledad? Okay. My mom used to always say that. But kids, they have a hard time understanding because they don't pay the bills,
Right.
And I'm
we
always
were there
thinking,
before
yeah,
too. When we were kids, we didn't think. But I think this new generation has it a lot harder because everything is so expensive. We're practically make it impossible for the new generation to own a home because everything is just so expensive.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why I think it's important that we reverse some of the damage that we've done for this generation, because they deserve to also be able to accomplish the American dream. And the American dream is to be able to one day be able to buy your own home, and that has been taken away from them.
Yeah. What do you think of the Trump and Harris contest? The presidential contest. Do you think it'll be a tight race? Do you think Trump will win in a landslide? Will Kamala win? What are your thoughts on that?
I think President Trump is going to win, but I don't think it's going to be, a big win for either or. Like, I think it's going to be a tight race. And it's important that people don't take either one for granted. I think I'm supporting President Trump because of the policies. But, Kamala Harris has no policies. She has not put in place no policies. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. She's done absolutely nothing. She hasn't come here to South Texas and handled the border crisis. She's been in charge of the border. She's the border czar, but yet she's never been here in South Texas. And her policies, the Biden administration's policies, created the crisis that we're currently going through. I mean, we've had over 9 million people cross illegally into our country. This administration has spent over $450 billion in housing and caring of those that have crossed illegally into this country. And I think it's unfair for those that have been waiting decades and decades for some type of status in this country. Also, the thousands and thousands of people that are in line. I would say millions of people that are waiting in line, that have been waiting for a long time to come to this country. Those people deserve to be prioritized. And I believe in immigration. I immigrated to this country, so I will always support immigration, but I think it's important that we prioritize those that are doing it the right way.
Yeah. The 34th Congressional District that you are running for, it covers quite a lot of territory. I mean, it's got a little bit of Hidalgo County,
A little bit of
Cameron County, Willacy, Nueces, I think, right?
No,
Kleberg, Kennedy
I
and
wish.
Kleberg, Jim Wells. Yeah.
Actually, the map has changed.
Okay.
So the map has changed. It covers a little bit of Hidalgo. It covers all Cameron, Willacy, and Kleberg County. That's the new map due to redistricting.
Okay.
So the map that you're mentioning, that was the special election, the map that I actually got to serve in.
Okay.
But then with the new census and redistricting came around, that's one of the reasons why it was also very difficult to serve in one district and run in a different one, because they changed the lines. So that made it also a lot more competitive and a lot more difficult for our reelection. And that's one of the reasons why we had to work 3 times as hard. And that's why we're working 3 times as hard to win our reelection in November.
Do they differ from, like, you've been traveling through all the counties that you've been, that you're running for, and do you see a difference in any of the wants and needs from the people that are in the different, or is it pretty much all the same?
Pretty much all the same, but it just depends. If I'm having a conversation with the farmers, for the farmers, the issue right now is the water. right? Because Mexico has refused to release some of the water to our farmers. We have a treaty with Mexico. It's called the 1944 Water Treaty. And they have refused to release. They're obligated to release water every year, but they haven't. And that's hurt our farmers tremendously. We lost actually our last sugar mill here in South
Santa
Texas,
Rosa?
in Santa Rosa. 700 jobs were lost because this administration, along with our current Congressman, Vicente Gonzalez, has refused to hold Mexico accountable. He actually voted against in forcing Mexico to release the water. He actually sided with Mexico, with Mexico's farmers, instead of his farmers that he should be representing, because these are the people that elected him to be in this position. So it's very sad to see what he's done in these past 2 years, but he's been a congressman for 10 years. He's running on his 5th term. So people need to know that, the things that he's promising, it's not going to happen. He's been a member of Congress for quite a while now, almost a whole entire decade already.
The last time we spoke and we sat down and had it was a fun interview there at our other studio. We're playing music and having a bunch of good times there, but it was Biden versus Trump. What did you think after that debate? That we all
locos, que están locos. That's what I thought. I was like, esta gente está loca. They can't do this. They literally just appointed her, and it's not right because the voters didn't nominate her, and it's a huge disrespect for the Democrat voter because she should have been in the Democrat primary, and it should have been up to the American people to decide if they wanted her to be the nominee, but they knew she wouldn't win. If she would have been on the ballot in the primary, they would have voted for RFK.
Yeah.
Because he would have stayed. He would have stayed in the Democrat ballot.
But they didn't want him on the ballot.
They didn't want him because he's too moderate for them. And they want, the radical left. They're now very progressive. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are walking away from the Democrat Party. You see Tulsi Gabbard, for example. She's a great friend of mine. She actually came here to South Texas, and she campaigned alongside me as well. And she served as a member of Congress in the Democrat Party. And she decided to put the American people first, her country, and walked away. And I have so much respect for those people because I will always be loyal to the United States of America. I will always be loyal to the American people, not to a political party.
Now, you have RFK Jr. and Tulsi joining Trump.
Make America healthy again. I love it. I'm like, let's go.
And, here in McAllen in the Rio Grande Valley, we're considered one of the most obese, man. We really need
I know. I was like, we need you.
Yeah. But you know what? It's
RFK for sure.
It's interesting because he brings up a lot of interesting points about the food and what's put in the food.
Absolutely.
And, all these things that have been growing so fast, like autism amongst kids and stuff like that.
More than 50% of children in the United States have some type of chronic disease. There's something wrong when our children, have some type of disease.
Yeah, asthma or,
Over 50%. We're doing things wrong. And our priority should be keeping our children healthy and safe. And we're not doing that. We're failing our children. And I think that RFK is bringing, attention to this issue. And I think he's gonna do something about it. And I think that we're obligated to stand by him and support him as well.
Yeah. Well, now you have RFK Jr. and Tulsi Gabbard, who are former Democrats that have decided to support Donald Trump. And then you have the Mitt Romneys and the Liz Cheneys and the Dick Cheneys who have decided to vote for Kamala. Isn't that am I living in the right world, right? Isn't that?
It's the establishment. So that's the establishment. That just tells you that, Democrat, Republican, didn't matter back in the days. They weren't really looking after our well-being. This is a different party. And I'm proud to see where we're going. And I think that the party that we're today, it's prioritizing the American people, and it should be that way. Not these warmongers, because that's what they are. They always want to go to war right away. And why? Because it's not their sons and daughters, fighting these wars. It's our sons and daughters. And we should do whatever it takes not to go to war. It shouldn't be like our first, it should be the last thing we want to do. And I feel that those type of people always want to go to war because they make money off of our sons and daughters.
Yeah,
going to war.
and RFK Jr. and Tulsi are anti-war. I mean,
so am I. I have a lot of love and respect for our men and women, but just because they join the military doesn't mean that we're right away, okay, let's go, throw them out to go to war. No, like we should do whatever it takes not to go to war. And under President Trump, we actually had peace. The Middle East was so much more calmer. Now it's all chaos all around. So I think if we put him back in the White House, we're going to have world peace. Not only we're going to be much safer, but the world is as well. And I think that's important.
He's never really gotten any credit for the good things he did. For example, crossing the demilitarized zone in North Korea into North Korea without any security. And I mean, if any other president would have done that, they would have put him on Mount Rushmore. You know what I mean? Obama, they would have made a candle with it.
That's like Hispanics, right? La raza would do. That's something we would do, but we wouldn't see like the president of the United States do something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's why he's doing so well with Hispanics, because Hispanics kind of resonate with that, with that bravery that we have in us ourselves. We're very courageous. As well, and we see that in him, and we see que no tiene pelos en la lengua, que él nada más habla.
They don't like that.
They but Hispanics, I think they like that. He just, he says things how it is. And
but the opposing team doesn't.
The white liberals.
Yeah, they don't like. They don't like that. They don't like hearing any honesty or any truth or any transparency.
White liberals are not proud of being Americans. They don't even like themselves. They have no values. To me, white liberals are the biggest threat in this country, and Hispanics are going to save this country. Our values of the Latinos, of the Mexican American culture is what's going to save this country, because we're people of faith, people of strong family values, and we're very hardworking. And those are American values, and that's what's going to save this country. And I believe that we're going to give President Trump back the White House, and I believe that we're going to be able to retake back Texas District 34 as well.
The Democrats are really big on the abortion topic, and what are your thoughts on that, on abortion? And they say pro-life, of course, is anti-abortion, and the abortion is pro-choice.
There's no choice. They always, push for abortion. So when I was in Congress, there was a bill up to 9 months with no restrictions. I'm a mother of 4. I mean, come on, 9 months with no restriction, and that's what they voted in favor of. Vicente Gonzalez voted in favor of abortion up to 9 months with no restrictions. You have states like Ohio where a 12-year-old can have an abortion without parental consent. They're the extreme on these issues. I mean, they voted against the Born Alive Act, that even if the baby survives the abortion, that the baby does not get medical care. I mean, how cruel can you be? If the baby survives the abortion procedure, we should give this baby medical care. Well, they voted against it. So they're the extremist. Look, I'm pro-life, but not because the Republican Party tells me to. I have 4 amazing children, and I embrace life, but I also understand that there's exceptions. The life of the mother should always be protected. Victims of abuse and rape should always be protected. I think that we should be there for women who've had abortions and help them get through the trauma. No woman that goes through that, comes out happy. Actually, suicide rates go higher. They go through a lot of mental trauma. I would never wish that on any woman. I think that we need to create some type of funding and, programs that help women get through that trauma so that they're not in that position anymore. And the majority of the women that, have abortions, 85% is because of lack of economic opportunities. Let's create better economic opportunities for women so that they're not in that position. And also, I feel like all the responsibilities always put on the women. Where are the men in this? If the women would have the support of their men, they would not be making this decision. So men also need to step it up. I feel like it's always put on the women and all the pressures put on the women, and it shouldn't be like that. Men need to step it up as well, because if women have the support of their men, they wouldn't be making this decision. And trust me, most women do not want to make this decision. They feel cornered, and they feel like they have no choice. And I'm not saying it's okay, but I just think that we need to show more grace to these women and be there for each other.
And that trips me out because, I mean, the Catholic religion, I don't think they believe in abortion, right? Or do they?
No, they don't. But they vote. A lot of them vote for it. So
that's what's shocking to me.
They go to church on Sunday, and then on Tuesday they'll vote for it. You know, but that doesn't go just for Catholics. I mean, that's just in general. You know, so you can't.
It's ideological. It's not
right. I mean, it's important that we know exactly what we're voting for. But I understand there's extreme on both sides. You know, and I believe that the life of the mother should always be protected, and those victims of abuse and rape should also be protected. There's exceptions, you know, but I have 4 amazing children, so I will always embrace life. You know. Did you
like that Trump decided to, the Supreme Court actually decided to give it to the states?
I think it's important that each state makes a decision. Why? Because every state is different. Mm-hmm. You know, for example, in California, you can have an abortion up to 9 months with no restrictions. Texas is not okay with that. Ohio, it's the same thing, up to 9 months with no restrictions. So 12-year-olds can have an abortion in Ohio without parental consent. I'm not okay with it, but that's Ohio's fight. Mm-hmm. I'm not okay with the laws in California, but that's Californians' fight. I think the federal government stay out of it, and I think that every state should handle it differently because we're all different.
School just started, and there's already been school shootings. What are your thoughts on that, on the school shootings? I know J.D. Vance said something about, it's a fact of life that...
He doesn't like it, but...
it's a fact that they misquoted him in the news, and they always spin everything. But he said it's a fact of life that there are, people or individuals that look for a soft target. And so that's what he said, but everybody meant, put it like the news decided to spin it as if he was saying, hey, live with it. It's a fact of life. It's going to happen.
I refuse to believe. I refuse to believe in that. I refuse to. I think that we are constantly seeing the red flags, and we're failing. I think that our government is failing us all. I do, because we can do better. So this can never be like the standard. Absolutely not. No gun zones. I feel that that's why they go in there, because they know that there's no guns. Mm-hmm. Actually, we need more law enforcement in every school. And Kamala Harris said she wants to remove all law enforcement from all schools.
And defund the police
and defund the police.
Now she's probably saying that she doesn't want to do it.
No, of course, because she lies and she wants to say whatever it takes for her to get elected. But these are facts. In 2019, she said she wanted to defund the police and remove all law enforcement from the schools. We actually need law enforcement in every school. We need to make sure that all the doors are secure and that we need to have top-of-the-line equipment in every school. I actually introduced a bill when I was in Congress called the RGV Act, and it stands for Reduce Gun Violence. And it's $13 billion for schools to be safe. And I think that, of course, when I was in Congress, they didn't allow me to put it to the floor. But when I get back in Congress, I want to reintroduce my bill. It's called the RGV Act, and they will do just that. It would actually focus on keeping schools safer, and it will be more funding to be able to give each school all the equipment that they need, and of course, top law enforcement as well. It's important. We have to do something about it, but also the mental health, issue in this country. We need to figure something out about that as well. And it starts with our children. I think that if we're able to see that they have mental health issues when they're small, I think it will prevent a lot of, the damages later on. So my bill also includes mental health for elementary and middle school and high school as well. And it's separate funding for that as well. And I think that would benefit everyone. Doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. We all want our children to be safe. I'm probably the only, former or member of Congress that has their children in public schools. Most people have them in private schools. But my children actually attend the public schools. So I want to make sure that our public schools have the funding that they need, that the teachers have, better salaries, because I feel that they're always in the back burner and they're the engine and the heart of our schools, and they're not being prioritized. We need to prioritize our teachers.
It's an overwhelming profession.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have so much to do.
I would not be who I am and in the position that I'm in if it wasn't because of all the amazing teachers I had since day one. And it's time that we prioritize them as well.
Yeah. What do you think of the welfare state and the food stamps and all that? Some people, especially nowadays with inflation, are in need of some extra help,
Absolutely.
But what are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that there should be some sort of limit to where they have to eventually wean themselves off of?
Yeah, of course. It should never become, a standard of living. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But I feel like the middle class is the one that hurts the most because, they make too much money to qualify for any assistance, but they don't make enough to be able to buy, the good things, at the grocery store. And they're the ones that struggle the most, the middle class, because the lower income, they qualify for all the government assistance, but the middle class doesn't. And then the upper class, they have the money too. So it's the middle class that struggles the most. And I think that we also need to help the middle class and our elderly as well. Mm-hmm. I worked with the elderly for 8 years as a respiratory therapist. And a lot of these patients would tell me that they would only qualify for $40, $50 a month. I'm like, how are you going to give $40, $50 to an elderly person that can't work? But yet some of these families are getting thousands and thousands of dollars a month. It's a huge disrespect. So I think we do need to look at it, and make sure that it doesn't become a form of living. But I think it's amazing that we have programs like that help those that need it. I think it's important that we have programs like that. If I were to cut somewhere, it would be abroad, is sending money abroad, not on the American people. Like, yes, some people do take advantage, but the program, it has a good intention. It's there to help those that need it. And of course, we need to make sure that, we follow through and that people are not taking advantage. But we first need to cut the funding that we send abroad before we take away any funding from the American people.
Yeah. One of the things that was interesting was when Joe Biden won and Kamala, and they, that's when COVID was here. And they had us all on lockdown, but yet the border was wide open. And then we had I remember they had Ansalduas Park in Mission. That was a camping site for.
They wanted to create chaos. That's what they wanted.
I remember seeing an interview with the mayor of Laredo, and I was telling my wife, I was like, how are they making sure that these immigrants that are crossing don't have COVID? They have to get tested. And then I see an interview with the mayor from Laredo saying, well, we're just, getting their information and letting them go. We don't have the resources to test them for COVID. Absolutely. So I was like, there was such an off-balance thing going on there. That's
why we have so many illegal immigrants committing crimes in this country, because they allowed everyone to cross, even those who had criminal records. That's why we're seeing so many young women being raped and killed by these people. And in
Houston, you had a 12-year-old.
12 years old. Uh-huh. I mean, it's just heartbreaking. And they knew they had a criminal record. That's what just boils my blood. It's like, why would you let go, release someone that you knew had a criminal record? Like, those people need to be deported immediately. And my opponent actually voted against deporting those that are illegally in the country committing crimes. And that to me is a no-brainer.
But
if you're illegally in the country committing crimes, you should be deported, because they make everyone look bad, because there's some people who actually immigrate here to work hard.
Yeah.
Right? But because of these monsters, they want to put everybody in the same box. And it's not true. Majority of people who immigrate to this country, want to come here to work hard, to accomplish the American dream, to provide for their families. But because they left the border wide open, so many criminals were also, being released, and that hurts everyone. It puts everyone at risk.
Well, if they deport somebody, chances are they can get right back in. And with this administration, for sure.
Right. No, I want those people who did this to this 12-year-old. I mean, I hope they get the death penalty. I think someone who, rapes and kills a 12-year-old should never see the sun ever again. And I think we can send a strong message that you can't cross illegally into our country and rape and kill our daughters. Like, you're not going to get away with it. So I hope that the governor sends a strong message by giving them the death penalty.
Trump says that, that Venezuela's crime has gone down.
Right, because they're all here.
It's true. And he says they empty out their prisons, they empty out their mental institutions, and everybody hates him for saying that. And when you look at it, like, would you do that if you were the leader of that country and you had to support all these people imprisoned? Right. Or would you just tell them, hey, what would you do? That's the way I think. Absolutely. And I'm like, I would believe that something like that is going on.
They're here.
And then Governor Abbott decided to bus which was probably one of the most genius decisions any governor has ever done. He started sending the border to New York City, Chicago.
It was important.
Denver, Colorado, and now you see these reports that they don't report on the national news, corporate news. You have to watch the local news in those areas, and that's what I do on YouTube.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not gonna, expect the corporate news media to tell me anything.
Chicago, I got to see it, firsthand, and they are very upset, the citizens of Chicago, because of the amount of people that are being sent there. But it's only like a few thousand compared to what we see here in South Texas, and they're like, y'all need to handle it. Wait a minute. This is not a South Texas problem. This is an American problem, and you need to do your part as well. Like, you support these policies, well, then you need to help us. We can't handle thousands and thousands and thousands of people every single day in South Texas. We're all small communities here. We don't have the funding, the resources to be able to do that. So no, you have to step it up as well. And now that they have to actually step up, they're like, okay, well, we need to do something about it. Like, we need to secure the border. Okay, now you say it because it's right next door to you, right? But before, it was like, open it, let everyone come in. Come on.
I've seen the ads of other Democrats that ran before. For example, a girl named Michelle that's here in this district that's running against Monica de la Cruz. And I saw her ad, and she says, we need to secure our border. I'm like, I don't think she was saying that the last time.
She was not
and
saying
now she's
that.
saying that. And that's the same thing Kamala's doing as well.
Yeah.
And it's really tough because, like I said, I watch the local news of the metropolitan areas in the United States, and they all start off with immigrant issues. And the one in Denver that I just saw, that's a little town by Denver, that they're taking over like the apartment complexes.
Yes,
and they're going knocking the door. They knock out the management and they collect the.
They literally have guns and threatening, the residents from there, like, give me your money. Like, these people think they're in Venezuela and they can do whatever they want. And the problem is that they're allowing them to do whatever they want because they're still there. They're not being deported. Like, why are we putting up with this? It's ridiculous. We're sending a wrong message that we're a weak country, and that's why people will continue to come, because they're allowing them to stay, and they're being given everything that they need. And again, it's a huge disrespect to the American people and those who've immigrated to this country and worked hard as well. It's a huge disrespect for them as well.
Yeah. And then our own friends and, sometimes people we know, they end up, like, when we ever bring up this immigration issue, it's like, tienes el nopal en la frente, and they start...
Y con mucho orgullo, y me encantan los nopales.
Yeah, I mean, right away they start throwing that at us, and it's just that we want to secure...
Are they usually, like, from here or from Mexico? Because, see, like, I'm actually born in Mexico, and it's a struggle, I feel, for those who are born here, because, you're an American here and you feel like you're also Mexican, but then you go to Mexico and you're an American. I know you're here, you're not an American enough, right? The struggle is real with that. But, I was born in Mexico, and and Mexico is very conservative. Mexico has also immigration laws as well. Probably stronger immigration laws than we do. So I don't understand the double standard.
And they have a lot of pride in their own country too. So
that's what I love.
And then
I love about that. Like, in Mexico, imagine waving an American flag in Mexico. No, they're proud of the Mexican flag, and that's the way it should be. I love that. We should be proud of the American flag as well. But what I love about America is that America allows you to embrace who you are. It allows you to wave whatever flag you want. It allows you to speak whatever language you want. See, you can't go to Mexico and wave the American flag and say, hey, saca esa bandera de aquí.
Yeah.
Like, they're very proud of their flag, of their culture, their food, their music. And I love that. I'm actually very proud to be a Mexican American as well. But I want to see more Americans here in this country showing how proud of being an American you are. And we should. We should never allow anyone to shame us for being an American.
Or pro-American.
Or pro-American.
America first.
Here
right.
we are. Aquí estamos. ¿Dónde estamos? Aquí.
Yeah.
Our children were born here. Our grandchildren are going to be born here. Like, we're not living in Mexico. And just because we visit Mexico, a lot of people think that because they go to Cabos, they know Mexico. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you do not know Mexico if you don't live there. The Mexican people know Mexico because they live off of pesos. The struggle is real in Mexico. They get to deal with the cartel every single day. They live in fear every single day. So you going on a vacation is very different from living in Mexico. And that's why border security is so important for me, because it will also somewhat defund the cartel that is doing so much, harm to the Mexican people. And the Mexican people deserve the best of the best. They deserve to have, a safe country. Just like back in the days, I remember back in the days, we would go to Mexico all the time. We're never scared to visit our loved ones. Most people nowadays hardly go to Mexico because they're afraid. And I miss, being able to go to Mexico and not being afraid. I miss that tremendously.
It's different going to a resort than going to a colonia in Mexico. It's totally different.
Exactly.
I mean, and people don't understand that.
People don't understand.
But still, anyway, I mean, that they're proud of their country, and
we should be
through
proud
all the
too.
bad and the good. And we are too as well. But it's just interesting the way, if you show any signs of being pro-American and you're Hispanic, you're a traitor, you're a racist, I mean, salen con unas chingaderas, and I'm like, you know what, man? I was born in the United States of America.
I was born in Mexico, but I'm a proud, American. Yes, again, I'm proud of, my roots, but the United States of America opened the doors and gave me the opportunities that I have. So we have to love this country and embrace it too, So no, I honestly don't care about
a lot of people, a lot of Hispanics have been, they've
brainwashed,
been programmed into thinking that the Republican Party is racist.
Is the party of the rich, and that the Democrat Party is the party of the poor. And you know what? The Democrat Party is the party of the poor. They're the party of poverty. They love creating poverty. They're great at it. They want people to be poor. Why? Because they want to continue manipulating, our community. They don't want our community to thrive and,
Well, the first thing they say when they're
prosper,
when they're during election, the first thing they say is, "Te van a quitar los republicanos, te van a quitar las estampillas, te van a quitar el Social Security, te van a quitar el welfare."
Because they want to keep you there, because that's a base that they want to continue controlling. And what I want is prosperity. I want to give options,
jobs, opportunities
to our community. Hey, this is one form of life that you can live, but this is another form of life that you can live, and give them options to decide to, have a better standard of living. And we can do that in South Texas by bringing better paying jobs to South Texas, so our children...
Industry.
Yeah, so our children don't have to leave South Texas for better opportunities. Most people want to stay in South Texas. I feel like once you leave South Texas, you're like, oh, I want to go back, Because I'm in Washington, or I'll be traveling throughout the country, and I'm like, I know, I can't wait to go back.
I've been here all my life, too, yeah.
I can't wait to go back. I love the 956. I love South Texas. This is my home. And I know that most people don't want to leave South Texas, but they do for better opportunities. Actually, I was speaking in Dallas at an event, and I was mentioning this, and this beautiful young lady right in front was crying. I didn't understand why she was crying, but after the conference, she came up to me and she told me she was from South Texas, and that she left South Texas for better opportunities. And she said, when you said that, I resonated with it because I miss it so much, but I had to leave because there wasn't that many opportunities for me. And I wish I could go back. And I was like, hopefully we can make it happen.
Well, let's do that. Yeah.
Hopefully we can make it happen for you. But yeah, so many resonate with that and understand that, and we want to change that. We want people to be able to stay here in South Texas and accomplish the American dream here. Why not? We need more Elon Musks, you know, to come and invest in this area. We need more, billionaires. Why not to come and invest in this area? We have the ingredients to be successful.
In the space.
We do. Can
you imagine Willacy County having huge industry?
Exactly. Willacy County is actually the poorest county in the nation. We have to change that. But again, they want to keep us poor. They don't want us to prosper. When I decided to run for office, they're like, oh, you can't run for office. You don't have the qualifications. Because they want us to believe that people like us, the everyday American, Mexican Americans, Hispanics, Latinos, conservatives, don't have a place in leadership. And if you notice all the movies that they put Latinos, they always choose to put Latinos in like the low income jobs, positions in the movies, right?
Yeah.
They don't give Latinos the big roles of the doctor and the engineer, and then the president and why? Because they want us to have that, they want to suppress that and make us think that, no, these positions are not for people like us. And I'm here to tell you that these positions are for people like us. When I got to Congress, I was like, how did I get here? The second week, I was like, how did they get it here? I realized really quick that these positions are for people like us. And we actually need more of us that understand what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. We need more of us. As long as you have common sense, integrity, you can be a member of Congress. You love this country, you can be a member of Congress. And you have good work ethic, you can be a member of Congress. But this idea that it's only for Harvard graduates, no. I mean, look at all these people that have been in office for a long time and have these qualifications. It's these people that are putting in place the policies that are destroying our country. Not people like us. People that look like us are not putting in the policies that are destroying our country. So we're not destroying it. So we need more of us in Congress, in the Senate, and why not in the White House in the future?
You mentioned Elon Musk, Brownsville, SpaceX, Cameron County. How has Elon Musk changed the area in Brownsville?
A lot. He's been able to provide a lot of jobs. So he's changed the lives of thousands and thousands of people, and he will continue to do so. I think it's amazing, and I'm always real proud that I was the first Republican he ever voted for. I always talk about that because he's the richest man in the world, and he chose Texas 34 to invest in us and believe in us, and I hope that inspires more, millionaires and billionaires to move to South Texas and invest in this area and give us all, more opportunities. Because like I said, we have the ingredients to be successful. We just need more people to believe in us. And hopefully with my reelection, I can be able to connect with all these people and bring them down to South Texas and bring world leaders to South Texas. Why not? And look at us and see the potential in us.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do.
And we're right by the border. I mean, the trade,
Exactly.
everything.
We have the port as well. We have everything. We just need them to come here and see the potential in us.
I remember when I was back in the 90s, early 90s, I guess. I would do DJ parties and stuff. And we had industry. The garment industry was here in the Rio Grande Valley. We had Hager's. We had Fruit of the Loom in Harlingen going to Rio Hondo.
I remember my dad used to work there.
And we had Carter's and other industries. And then Bill Clinton signed the NAFTA agreement. Mm-hmm. And I remember going to those companies and DJing their family picnics.
Yes.
And I'd be there from like 12 noon till like freaking about 4 p.m., something like that, 12 to 4. And I'd see the families so happy. The father was working, the mom with the kids. They'd have carnivals.
They took so much away from us by doing that.
And as soon as that NAFTA agreement was signed, I saw a lot of that disappearing. And
absolutely.
And then all of a sudden, these maquiladoras started popping up on the other side of the border. And I was like, why aren't those maquiladoras here?
Went to Burgos.
Yeah.
They actually went to Burgos, where I was born. Yeah. Fruit of the Loom was there for a long time, paying pennies.
Wow. I know. And that's the thing. I was like, why couldn't those maquiladoras have been built here?
Those type, companies who do that and move to Mexico and to pay less should be held accountable.
That's what I remember when Trump, because you see, a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people are just on the top of the surface of what Trump they say about Trump and all that. But when he was president, I kept a close eye on him. I was watching roundtables, his speeches, his press conferences. Completely.
You don't have to like him, right? I tell people all the time. You don't have to like him, but look at his policies.
I wasn't trusting the media to tell me, because I've been in the business for such a long time, and I know how
you understand
they can manipulate, because I used to do it on the radio all the time, with phone calls and crank calls and stuff like that. But, he had some pretty interesting ideas. One of them was, he said, look, NAFTA was for Mexico's companies to be able to, send in, export stuff to our country with no tariffs and stuff like that. It wasn't for our companies to go over there to be able to do that.
Correct.
And so he wanted to tell those companies, look, if you're going to be over there and you're not going to have business here, you're going to have to pay to send your stuff over here.
Absolutely.
Because this is for Mexico, not for American companies in Mexico. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And so I was like, okay, well, that makes sense.
It does make sense.
And then the other one was the right to try, where anybody with a terminal illness could try whatever they wanted to see if it would work. Because you know how a lot of people that have terminal illnesses here in the United States, they end up going to Panama, they end up going to Monterrey, they end up getting all these procedures that aren't legal in the United States of America. And I told my wife, you know what? The news media is going to shit all over that idea. And she goes, why do you say that? And I said, well, don't you see between every break there's a farmer commercial.
Yeah.
And they don't want something that might end up curing something, popping up in the United States of America.
They make money off of us being sick.
Yeah. So, but that's a whole other conversation.
And that's why I think it's great, right, that RFK joined the team. And that he wants to make America healthy again.
Yeah.
And I stand by that as well. We do.
Well, Myra, I really appreciate you coming by. We got to do this again. We can talk a long time.
I know.
But thank you so much. And, Election Day is almost here. But early voting's already coming around. From what day to what day is
I don't have the exact dates,
okay.
But I know it's on mid-October. Election Day is November 5th. But this is truly the most important election of our lifetime. If you have a difficult schedule, I suggest you vote early. If you want to wait till Election Day, that's fine. But the lines are going to be pretty long. So if your schedule is pretty tight, I suggest you to vote early. Because this is truly the most important election of our lifetime. Take people to go out to vote as well. It's important that, we go the extra mile. People before us fought for us to have the opportunities that we have. I think that we have to do our part as well. We have to take a hit, for our kids.
6 months wasn't enough for you. You need more. You need the whole term, because you were there from June 2022
to be honest
to
with
January.
You, I feel obligated, but it's not my favorite place to be. I don't think I could do this for a long time.
No,
no, I miss, my life before, and I rather do work on policy and doing other things, but I know that I have an obligation to do this. It's just something that you feel. But I accomplished the American dream way before, but being in Congress is not the American dream. Yeah. I don't know how people can do this for like 30 plus years. I'm like, how do you want to do this for them? Like, I think it's sad when people are in their 80s and still serving. You know, or, I'm sorry, but no disrespect, but
Term
you're in
limits. You want term limits.
Yeah,
Huh?
I do. I strongly believe in term limits, and I don't think that you should be there, you know, for forever.
Yeah, what happens is
Dying, like there's people dying in Congress. Like, that is so sad.
crazy.
Like, go and spend time with your loved ones, with your family. So I don't see myself being in Congress like for a long time. Like, I want to do a few terms and, you know, and then do something else.
I think when there's term limits, there's a lot less chance for corruption. You know, because the longer you're in there, the more corrupt you can become by, you know.
And what I also want to do is inspire other Hispanics, other Mexican Americans to run for office, you know. And I think it's important that we open those doors for the next generation. I want more conservative Latinas to feel confident that they can also run for office.
Were you the first Hispanic woman that was
first.
originally born in Mexico to serve?
We made history. I was the first Mexican-born congresswoman ever elected in history.
Wow.
Both sides. So no one can take that away from us.
That's something beautiful. That's something that should be praised all throughout the news networks and stuff like that. But
unfortunately, because I'm Republican, that didn't happen.
Isn't that crazy?
But I'm very proud of us making that history. Why? Because now little girls that look like me will believe in themselves too, and that they can too run for office and get elected. So that's the goal.
All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Mayra.
you so much. God bless you.
Igualmente.